Hey guys, welcome to Convocourses podcast. And today we're having open topics on cybersecurity, specifically on security compliance. So, any questions that you have, I do this every week on Saturday, 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Any questions you want to get in this field? Open, like a lot of times, a lot of people who follow me actually know more than I do. So that if I can't answer your question, they can answer your question. So, this is a perfect opportunity to ask any questions whatsoever. I'll do my very best to answer them. So let's get started. I got some questions already on TikTok. Let me see. Relevant questions to cybersecurity. Somebody asked me, they said, what is a starter class course for cybersecurity? What job position is an entry level with no experience? Okay, there's a couple questions here. What is a good starter class course for cybersecurity? So it depends on what level you're at. So I would say if you are already in this field, like let's say you're on the help desk and you're trying to level up into cybersecurity, then I would say that you want to start specializing, and you probably want to do a security plus. Now, if you are, let's say you want to specialize in another way, somebody kind of mentioned cloud application security, and I'll get to that question in a minute. But let's say you want to specialize in cloud. Well, cloud, another thing you could do is specialize in cloud, do like a AWS cloud certification practitioner, and then specialize in security. You could do that. So there's a couple ways you can go if you already have experience in this field. And then another thing is if you happen to already be in the healthcare industry, and let's say you're a nurse practitioner, or you happen to be a teller in a bank or something, and you're trying to get an IT position, a security IT position at your bank or at your hospital, whatever, right? But you already a professional there. What you could do potentially is take the security plus and get that security IT stuff under your belt, especially if you're already a geek, you are kind of already know IT. Maybe you build your own computers at home, you're a gamer, you kind of already dabble. Then you could probably just go straight to Security Plus. Security Plus is the best entry level cybersecurity certification that you could take. That being said, Security Plus expects you to have a certain level of knowledge. So if you know nothing, you're coming in cold, you really don't know anything, you're just wanting to get in this field. A plus certification, CompTIA A plus has one of the best, I should say, domains. Like it has a good breakdown of the common body of knowledge that you should know. So that is another place that I would focus on. And you had another question. Let me see. And I hear people talking about like the Google Support IT certification or some of these other new certifications. Even ISC2 Squared has a new entry level cybersecurity certification. The reason why I don't mention those is because Security Plus has been around a really long time. A plus, CompTIA A plus it's marketable. If you go to Indeed, if you go to a Career Builder, if you type in A plus certification, you'll find people looking for that certification. But some of the newer certifications, they're not really looking for that yet. It just hasn't picked up in the market just yet. I mean, not to say that it won't or that's a bad cert, but if you're trying to get the experience and a cert when you're done, then I would say either A plus if you have no experience, and then Security Plus if you have some experience and you're trying to level up into cybersecurity. What job position is an entry level position? So a job position, typically information technology support technician, help desk support, field technician 1, anything with 1 in front of it. That's help desk 1, field tech 1, computer support, customer support 1. Those are all entry level type positions. Now, there's a difference between entry level. This is where a lot of people get confused. Entry level doesn't mean 0 experience. So entry level can include, I should say, entry level includes some experience, and normally they're looking for like 1 year experience, something. If you're looking for 0 experience, you got to really look for those because there's not a lot of them, because that means they got to bring you in, teach you what's going on, and then give you a small task, and then teach and like bring you up, teach you in levels. So I hope that helps. You said no degree. You can get a job in information technology with no degree. It's a little bit harder to do with cybersecurity. You're gonna really have to look for those, but that's not to say that they don't exist. They do exist, and I can give you an example of those. I'll take you to. Let me see. Which one should I try first? Let's let's look at LinkedIn. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is my LinkedIn page. Oh man, I got a whole bunch of people trying to talk to me here. Let me just get rid of this stuff. This is the first time I've ever gone on LinkedIn and actually did a live here, so this is interesting. I don't know how this is gonna go. I can see myself on LinkedIn. That's really cool how they did that. That's really cool. Anyway, let me switch. I'm on TikTok, by the way. If you guys happen to be watching me, I'm talking to people on TikTok and I'm going on LinkedIn to show them some stuff on LinkedIn. Let me see if I could switch the screen. Hey, how they do this on TikTok. Make it real difficult for people who do something other than freaking dance. So this is I'm on LinkedIn right here. Let me show you what I got going on. See, you can see myself there doing the thing there. So watch this. If we went to, let's just look for help desk. I'm typing in help desk because that is an entry level position. And I'm going to look for something with no degree live. So here we go. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look on the filters here for something you're going to look for jobs. So I just clicked on the jobs filter. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look for entry. Okay, here's experience level. You can look for entry level. That's one thing you can do to search. Another one you could do is actually, let me switch my screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. There we go. So another thing you can do is I'm looking for experience level. Okay, here we go. Where is it? Experience level. I think I already clicked that. Yeah, I did. Okay. Where is it? Job type. Full time. Man, where is the other filter? There's a filter for no experience at all, and that's the one I'm looking for. Anyway, there's entry level right there. There's a way that you can actually look for jobs with no degree, entry level, and a lot of these won't have degrees. So that's one thing you can do. I hope that helps. I'm gonna switch back my screen because this right here is kind of annoying. Bear with me until I can find something better to do on TikTok. That's how it's gonna be. All right, somebody on Joe, how you doing, man? Jojo said, "Good afternoon. I'm seeking your help in studying for Expedia Group interview for Security Operations 3. Can you please look up and tell me what interview questions to prepare for?" Oh yeah, that's super easy, Joe. And I might as well help everybody, right? So I could show you live how I would do it if I were you. There's a couple ways. So number one best way to do it is to go to the actual step number one. Let's break this down by steps. Step number one, go to the actual page of the job. Go to where the job description is. You want the qualifications that they're looking for. You want the company information. You're looking for their preferences, qualifications, what the job description is, as much information as you can get. Go to that page, copy it. If they emailed it to you, even better. You want to be able to copy it, right? And so now you have it. Now what you want to do is read through it. I'm talking about read everything start to finish on the whole thing. Then what you're going to do is just look at the qualifications and start giving yourself questions on every qualification, every bullet point, every kind of thing on that the job description. And then also look at your resume. You need to be familiar with your own resume. I know that sounds crazy to say that, but think about it. A lot of times when you're doing your resume, you've done stuff 3-4 years ago or 2 years ago, whatever. You might have forgotten like how much you did in that particular area. You might have forgotten, like you want to refresh your memory. So go back, look at your resume, study your own resume, and come up with questions from your own resume because they're going to ask you questions from your resume. Then look at the qualifications because they're going to ask you stuff from, okay, can you do these tasks? Do you have this qualification? Ask yourself those questions and then practice it in front of the best way to practice is right in front of a camera. Record yourself and then watch how you respond, because you'll be able to pick up little quirks, little like when you if you say too much, you'll pick up little habits that you have, and if you practice, you can get yourself out of those, and you already know what questions to answer. Here's another little thing that you can do. If you have access to ChatGPT, I would highly recommend, like, you can be afraid of this technology or you can just roll with it, because the thing is it's not going to go away and it's just going to get better and better. And my thing is, like, if you can't beat them, join them. You know what I mean? You can't beat them, join them. So I'm on ChatGPT right here, and I want to show you a little trick. It's a little trick you can do. In addition to what I told you, go to ChatGPT. You can follow along with me if you like. I'm going to go ahead and get this job right here. Let's say you were trying to get this job as an IT support specialist. And let's say we want to, what we want to do is grab the major duties and responsibilities. Let's go ahead and grab all of this and the responsibilities, everything technical. Okay. This is enough right here. Let's just grab this right here, and we're going to copy it. We're going to go back to ChatGPT. Now what we're going to do is we're going to ask ChatGPT. We're going to say, act as an employer. This is called a prompt. And what I'm doing is telling it to take on a certain role so that it will behave in a way that is, hold on, let me see if I can add my face. There we go. It'll behave just like I'm telling it to behave. It could behave like a prosecutor. It could behave like a whatever you want. So now what we're going to do, get rid of this. And then we're going to say, act as employer, ask me questions on with the following information in the job description. I'm not wording this properly, but you get the idea. Now I'll just copy and pasted everything from that job. Now it's going to behave just like an employer, and it's going to ask me questions that would be from this employer right here. Look, it's actually given me, let me see if I can enlarge this a little bit so you can see. Thank you for your interest in this IT support specialist. Now, keep in mind, I didn't tell it to that it's an IT specialist job. It just knows that from what I typed in. And now the first question is, can you please describe the previous experience, your previous experience with IT support? Now, it's a great question because that's normally what they ask. What is your previous experience? Because they want to know if your previous experience matches what they're going to say. Can you share your experiences with setting up support conference rooms technology, including audio, visual, and projectors and screens? In your previous role, have you ever been involved with office moves, additions, changes? So they're asking stuff directly from the actual job description. So that's another little trick you can do, but you got to practice. The main thing is to practice. There's more questions there, but the main thing is that you've got to practice on your own, right? The AI is not going to do that for you. So at some point you got to sit down in front of a camera and you've got to go through it and you've got to do the work, right? The AI can only take you so far. Like, it's not magic. It's going to take you so far, and then you got to sit down and actually go through the questions yourself. Like, you got to read them and test yourself out, and that's one thing that you can do. So it's a very powerful tool. Like, I know people are really afraid about it, but I'm thinking, like, think about it like this. Especially if you're a Gen X, like, you've been through several different things that were supposed to destroy everything, right? Like, we've been through several different things. One was the internet. One was mobile devices, social media, right? We've been through all of this. Having been born in the 70s or the early 80s or whatever, right? We saw all this stuff come in, and they're like, oh, all this is going to destroy everything. Everything's going to go in flames, and everybody's going to whatever, right? All it does is just shift your job. So, I mean, is it going to take jobs? I'm sure it's going to disrupt a whole bunch of industries. Is it going to take all jobs? No. Not yet. Maybe maybe in 10 years or so, but not yet. I don't know if you've seen the new stuff it has, but holy crap, it is terrifying, man. It's this thing is ChatGPT is absolutely terrifying. Okay, let me see. I'm gonna ask more questions. I know people are asking me questions here on TikTok. I'm gonna go back and forth between TikTok, and if you happen to be watching me on any other platform, you can ask me a question. It comes to me on it should come to me on StreamYard. So let me see. Next question is, what position do you go for? Um, what position do I go for? I love the network aspect of cybersecurity. Okay, so this is easy. So what you want to probably do is do it's called network engineering. Network engineering is what you want to get into, and then there's network security, and there's a couple of certifications that if you get them, you'll be doing network security all the time. One of which is called the CCNA security. CCNA security, not an easy certification, by the way. So you have to build up to that. They have a entry level certification for Cisco, and I don't remember what it is called. Let me ask ChatGPT. What is the? I find myself using ChatGPT over Google. It is way better than Google. CCNA. No, there's something before CCNA. What is the hierarchy? Hierarchy of Cisco certifications. Certifications. Oh, somebody said Security Plus. Yeah, Security Plus will be also be a good one for networking, getting into networking too. Security Plus has some really good course material on networking. Pretty solid entry level stuff on networking. But if you want to like, the next step is going to be for you to do the Cisco's. There's different tracks for network security. Um, Networks as a whole. Network, unfortunately, is kind of controlled entirely by the vendors. That be Cisco, VMware. I don't know, Juniper. Help me out, guys. There's some other ones, but those are the main players in the U.S. Like I'm sure if you go to China, it's Huawei or something. But in the U.S., it's going to be Cisco. Cisco and okay, so here's the hierarchy of Cisco's certifications. And the reason why I bring up Cisco is because if you can get a Cisco one of these certifications, you can get paid. There's a lot of jobs that are seeking these certifications. So this is an entry level Cisco certification, and then CCENT. Yeah, so they kind of changed it up. And then the next one is, oh, this one's going away. This one's going away. That's right. It's going to be changed. It's going to be changed into the CCENT, and then you've got the CCNA. And CCNA, I believe, has a bunch of specializations that they didn't list here. CCNA has CCNA security, and then CCNA, I don't know, switching or something like that. So somebody said mess around with packet sniffing, packet tracer. Let me see. Somebody said Security Plus. Yeah, I would agree with that. Security Plus is a good one. Just got done with a networking class and on help desk on Security Plus. What's the next level for me? Okay, I'll answer that in a second. Hold on. I'm trying to nail this other one down. Okay, I guess that wraps it up. So yeah, I would say just to kind of wrap up the previous question, like CCNA, CCNA security, and then before that, probably a Security Plus would be pretty good to get into. Let me see. Somebody asked. I'm going to ask a question on YouTube real quick. Yeah, any questions you guys have? If you happen to be watching me on LinkedIn, if you happen to be watching me wherever, ask a question. And then a lot of times I don't know the answer, but there's people on TikTok, people who follow me on YouTube, on Facebook that can answer the question. And we got subject matter experts here. I'm just a mouthpiece here. Let me see. Another question. So Joe said, "Congrats, Joe." By the way, if you guys didn't know, Joe took my resume writing service, and I took his resume, rewrote, used AI and my own experience, and then also used this other resume writing service I have, ran it through all of this, gave him back the resume, and then he posted it, and now he's got an interview. So Joe says there's 3 interviews for the position, and I've seen your interview videos where you explain the 3 in small, details. Can you go through the screen call, the manager call, and the panel interviews? So I did about 3 different ones on this one, Joe. If you wanted to go through, I've got material on this stuff. If you guys didn't know, I've got a couple videos on YouTube, and I think I might have posted on Facebook too, but where I talk about how you do the interviews and how many interviews there are, and then like what kinds of questions. But I can kind of give you an overview of each one. So there's usually about 3 for cybersecurity. I can't speak for like if you're a programmer, if you're, project manager, I can't speak for that. But typically, now I've been through this process probably 24 times, the interview process, I mean, or more. And I've done online, I've been the person doing the interview too. So I've been on both sides of this thing. So especially for cybersecurity, I really know the process. And let me just break it down for you. There's normally 3 different interviews. One is a screener. It's not really an interview. It's not really any pressure. It's not even, the person doesn't even know what's going on, right? The second one is usually either a manager or technical. A lot of times they'll do like a manager person, somebody who's who's going to be your manager or your upper level supervisor or somebody like that, who's going to call you and talk to you and see if you're a good fit for the organization. And the third one, and usually the last one, is going to be a technical one where they're going to ask you, they're going to see if you know what you're talking about. They're going to see if you know you can actually do the work. And that's where they're going to be like asking you stuff directly that's in the job. They might ask you device type questions and things like that. So it's normally 3, and it's mixing up, they're mixing them up. Like you might get one like the technical first or the manager first, or they might even have another manager or another technical person do another interview, but it's normally 3. Let me just tell you about the first one. The very first interview is a screener. That's a person who's just like been hired. A lot of times they'll be from other countries, and they're just hired to just call 100 people a day to see who they're filtering. It's like a funnel. They're filtering out, weeding out people who are not supposed to, shouldn't even be considered for the job. So it's just a phone call or email saying, hey, would you be interested in this position? Here it is right here. Here's the salary range. It's in this place. It's a on-site or it's remote or whatever. And then if you're interested, then you go to the next level. If you're interested, sometimes they'll give you a call and say, hey, okay, I need to know a few more things about what's going on with you. Do you have this certification? Are you eligible for a clearance? Have you ever done this or that? And it's a quick, no stress call. And if everything goes right with that first screener interview, and it usually lasts it might last 10 minutes. Maybe not even 10, maybe 5 minutes or less. It's low stress. It's very quick. And then if you're interested, if you're like, yep, I'm interested, you go to the next level, which is either a manager. It could be an HR person from that company. It's going to be somebody from the company who's going to hire you. It'll be either a manager or a technical person. Typically, the manager calls me first. The manager is going to ask questions like that interview sometimes like a one-on-one like this, a Zoom call or something. And that's when the stress is a little bit there because you're actually talking to the person who's going to be the person who says yes to send you to the next level, or you're hired, right? So that manager type person's asking kind of general questions usually. They might ask some in the weeds question, but not many. They're not like doing the stuff every day. So they'll ask you stuff like, tell me your experience. This is a job. They'll normally introduce the company. So, well, this company's been around for X amount of years. We have a contract with X amount of people. Our customers are this and that. Here's the industry we're in. And now tell me a little bit about yourself. Can you tell me about your experience doing cybersecurity analyst work? And then that's when you will go into your spiel about your history, like what you've done. And what you want to do here is you want to highlight all the things that you have done that would complement what they are asking for, if that makes any sense. You want to make sure that you go through your own resume and figure out, how does my resume match with what they need? And then you talk about that stuff, right? I'm not telling you to lie. I'm telling you to enhance and highlight the things that you've done that will be a very good fit into their organization. They're going to allow you to talk. The manager will usually just allow you to kind of talk, and they're taking notes like, okay, all right. And then they'll start asking you a little bit more specific questions. They're like, okay, well, I like this guy, but now let me ask you, have you ever done cloud stuff? Because in this contract, we do a lot of stuff with cloud. Can you tell me anything you've done with cloud? Right. And then they'll let you speak. And then you just talk. Now, if you don't know, like this happened to me, I was just telling, well, my only experience, I don't really have a lot of experience with cloud, to be honest with you. My only experience was working with FedRAMP, which is the federal government's implementation of cloud, where we have to vet different cloud technologies. But that's about it. I don't have any hands-on cloud experience. So, and they said, fair enough, move on to the next question. And then they'll ask you other questions about, sometimes they'll ask you questions about, like, can you deal with this type of client? Have you ever dealt with this type of industry, financial sector, whatever have you? And then they're asking more generic, general questions, but they can get into the weeds. And if they like, if your experience, like if you explain it enough to show that you match what they're trying to do, they will send you over to the next one. With the manager, it's a great opportunity to ask them about the company. This is really you interviewing them. That's how I see it. Because when they ask you at the end and say, well, do you have any questions? That's when I ask them about like things like, well, do you do shift work? Things I'm asking questions that I either don't want to do or things I'm trying to do. Do you guys do, I see that you guys do flex work. Do you do 100% remote? Do you guys have travel? How much percentage of travel do you have? You know, that kind of thing. So you're kind of vetting them to see, okay, is this a good fit for me? Do I even want to work this job? You know what I mean? So if everything's good, then they send you to the last interview. And the last interview is usually the hardest in my experience, where they'll ask not only the experience questions where they're asking you stuff from your own resume, but they're asking you specific things about the job. This is where they're like, okay, you have a plan of action and milestone and it's late and the customer is irate. How do you respond to that? We need you to set up 2 different cloud technologies. Which ones would you approve of? Which and why? Like, why would you choose these 2 and why? Have you ever set up and fixed a cloud system? Okay, how do you actually? What's your first step of fixing that cloud system? They'll actually ask to see if you know what you don't want to do in these interviews is BS them. Do not, under any circumstance, if you don't know the answer, just flat out tell them, well, I don't know that, but I would love to learn that. In your organization, I'm actually really anxious to learn more about cloud. That's exactly what I said, actually, to get the job. Anyway, so that's what you're going to do. And those are the 3 types of jobs. Anything other than that, if you're going to go deeper, you really got to know. I would have to see what types of questions that they have, like what kind of job it is. I'd have to see the job, and then I would actually know what kind of questions they're going to ask you. If you give me the job description, I'll know exactly what questions they're going to ask you. All right, so I hope that answers your question, Joe. Let me answer some questions on TikTok real quick. And I apologize, guys. I got so many people. It looks like the Matrix, man. I'm seeing questions pop up. So let me see. I'll answer this last one here. How often do you deal with the yelling type of client? That is a great question, my man. I love that question. So it's usually not yelling. If it was yelling, it would be hilarious to me. It's usually not that. I can't say it's not always that, because there's been some times. It's usually condescending. It's worse than yelling. For me, it's worse than yelling. It's people who are very condescending. Try to speak to you like a child, like you don't have 20 years of experience, like you don't know more than them, but they want to tell you your job. It's people who are want to take over the meeting. You have a meeting of 15 people, and then they come in and they take over the meeting, and they don't even know half the stuff that's going on. They know everything. They get on the call and they know everything. It's people like bossy, like very belligerent people. Like, this should be done now. There's no excuse for not getting this done. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in the military. I could take that kind of stuff. It's just, it kind of weighs on you because you're all in the team. The way I see it is this is a team effort. Like, we're all trying to get this thing fixed. Like, this is not, but a lot of times they try to flex on you because they paid X amount of dollars. So they're expecting a certain level of service, which is understandable. Right. So you've got to just play that, you got to play the game, right? And the game is emotional intelligence. You got to be 10 steps ahead of them emotionally. Like, this is just a job for you. Like, why are you going to get all bent out of shape? Don't allow it to ruin your day. It's just a job. At the end of the day, you're all trying to fix this thing. Nobody's going to die. I was in Afghanistan one time. And that was a different kind of stress level. Once you go to a place like that, it kind of puts life in perspective. If nobody's dying and there's a breach at the system, right? Like, okay, let's get it fixed. There's nobody's life is in danger, right? So you got to put it all in perspective. That's what I do. But how many times does it happen? There's at least one really difficult person at every place I've gone to. There's at least one. I have not been to either one place that didn't have at least one person. Either it's not always the client. Sometimes it's your coworkers, right? And those are really the worst because you can't get away from them. Clients you might see once every other week or something, but when you have a coworker, a peer who's like that, or a boss who's like that, dude, it's unbearable. But there's always, every organization I've been to is at least one person who is difficult, not yelling, but they're condescending. They know everything. They talk behind people's back, trying to cause problems. There's always like one person who's like that, and I don't know like what that's just human nature. You're gonna have one asshole per group. One group has to have at least one asshole, and that's just how it is, man. All right. Let me see another question. Thank you for that question. That was great. Let me see. Somebody asked me on YouTube. They said, if I wanted to become a network infrastructure engineer, I like these network questions. This is changing it up a little bit. From outside fiber cable. Oh, that's okay. That's awesome. To the connecting of servers, switches. Can you recommend training site courses? Okay, yeah, I can. So I would start off where you are. What I mean by that is if you have zero technical experience with computers, like you're kind of a dummy with computers, you don't configure your own stuff. You don't have like special pop-ups on your phone that you mess around with because for fun. You don't build your own computer to game. You don't set up a server for you and your guys to play Call of Duty. You're not the guy doing all that kind of stuff. You're not making your own clothes for the characters. If that's not you, then you want to start off with A+ certification. And the reason why I'm a huge advocate for it is because I was my first certification, and it told me the terminology. By the time I was done, I felt like I was speaking another language. I could speak on fixing computers, troubleshooting computers, hardware, software. I knew different languages of computers. I didn't know how to write them, but I knew what they were. It put everything in context so that I knew the entire world of IT from a distance, right? I wasn't in there yet, but I knew like the terminology. I knew like what was going on as a cable technician. You probably have a certain level of jargon that you would know, but a civilian, somebody outside your industry, will not know, right? Well, A+ certification gives you that jargon for IT as a whole. Another certification that kind of does the same thing as the ITIL tract, and then another one would probably be Google IT support. But I don't really know. I haven't taken those, so I don't really know how well those are. But I can tell you for sure, CompTIA A+. There's two of them. Software. Well, I don't know if they break it up in software and hardware anymore, but there's two different certifications that you would take. By the end of those, you can take the certification if you want, but the knowledge is what you really want. Now it is marketable, so it wouldn't, if you know the stuff after you read the books, because you could just read the books, by the way. Go to Barnes and Noble, go to Amazon, go to wherever your favorite place to buy books, an ebook, a paperback, whatever, and purchase the cheapest one you can find. It's all the same information, so you have to buy the official document. I mean, the official. I usually buy the official one from CompTIA, but you don't have to. They're usually overinflatedly priced. But that's how you start. Just get the book, read through it. If you're really good at audio learning, get the audio book and just go through it page by page. Learn the common body of knowledge. Once you have that, you can go on to another one called security. Security Plus is a good one, but you're trying to do networking. So another thing you could do is a really good one would be the Cisco CCENT, and I think I have it up. Let me show you right here. So this right here is a hierarchy of the Cisco certs. And the reason why I recommend this one over some of the other vendor level certifications for networking is because this is the most highly marketable. It's the hottest one out. The other than that, you have one called the oh my lord, why am I forgetting it? A VMware, man. VMware is really good too, and that's if you want to go into virtualization and stuff like that. But VMware has one of the top networking certification, and then another one that's the top. You could take Network Plus, like if you could, but it's not marketable. It's gonna tell you like the basic stuff of networking. So I would recommend Cisco, right? So that's what I would do if I was if I was laying cable, if I was a cable guy. I would definitely. It's a really good transition for you. So it's really good because you're gonna actually know coaxial cable. They're gonna mention some of the cable standards and some of the they're gonna mention things like attenuation. You already know what that kind of stuff is. They're gonna mention things like difference between a modem, a router, and a switch. You're gonna know that after you take those kinds of things. So once again, just reiterate, like if you know nothing at all, A+ certification. Now, if you already know technology, if you're already good with computers, you know how to build your own, don't waste your time with A+. You can move straight on to a Cisco certification if you feel ready. The Cisco Certified Technician. That's what I would recommend to you. Hope that helps. Okay, let me answer a question on TikTok. Let me see. I'm going to try to get all these questions on TikTok. Let me see. What can you tell me about? What can? Okay, well, hold on a second. I think I've skipped a couple here. Will AI take over the world? Yes. Next question. It absolutely is going to take over the world. AI is definitely going to take over the world. It's going to take over the world in the same way the internet did, and the same way that Google, search engines, I should say. It's going to have that level of impact, and I would say a lot more because I think it'll be everywhere. I think it'll be on your phone. I think at some point they're going to integrate AI into operating systems to where you turn on a computer that you just bought from Best Buy or wherever, or Dell or Walmart or wherever, and you're going to be able. It's going to talk to you. The computer will talk to you and walk itself through a setup. Like it'll ask you questions about what your time zone. It'll ask you, and you'll be able to just talk to it. That's what's coming. They're going to update Cortana, Google Home. They're going to update Alexa. They're going to update. You'll be able to talk directly. The interfaces are going to get sick. It's going to be crazy. It's definitely going to take over. Are they going to take over like Terminator? Is a computer from the future going to come back and kill Sarah Connor? No, that's not going to happen. Will a government create an AI that's like Stuxnet and then take out a government? Probably. And that shit's going to get scary. It's going to be, for me, I'm scared about what humans are going to do with AI. AI itself is just an awesome tool, but humans, like we'll take a powerful, an incredible innovation, and then we'll make the most worst weapon possible with it. There's this crazy people who just want to destroy everything, or I don't know what they're thinking, but those people will get a hold of AI and they will do some crazy stuff, but I don't think it's going to be Terminator coming from the future to kill Sarah Connor. You know what I'm saying? That's not going to happen, let me see. Another question here from YouTube. Somebody asked me, "Hi, Bruce. How you doing? How can I get you to take a look at my resume? Are you still doing one-on-one coaching? I did buy your cybersecurity resume course." Okay. So what you can do, oh, by the way, I updated it. So if you have bought that course, go take a look at it again. Some of the AI stuff I just recently added to, so go back and take a look at it. But if you want me to look at it, go convocourses.com, and I've set up a service where I'm going to actually take your resume. I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to run it through all the tools I have, and then I'm going to give it back to you as a suggestion. It's going to have all the keywords. This works with every person I've done it with. I'm treating it just like my own resume, and then I'm giving you advice back. If I can't help you, you can have your money back. It's $50 right now, by the way. Convocourses.com. Go search. It's called a resume service, and I can only take a few people, so if at a time. So I have a full-time job, so so just that's the way to do it. Let me see. Somebody said great platform. Which of the ChatGPT is good and free? If you go to chat.openai.com, that one's free. And then Bing, and I don't know if you guys knew this. This is insane. What's happening right now is super exciting, terrifying, and it's insane. So right now, Bing, the search engine, already has their own version of ChatGPT implemented. You can use it right now. It's not in beta. It's out right now. Google also has one called Bard that they're releasing, and they're inviting people. They invited me into it, so when I get it, I'll do like a live presentation of it. But they have their own AI. Man, all of the Brave browser has their own AI. Oh man, what's the other one? Opera has their own AI. They're integrated into browsers and search engines right now because it's way better than search engines. And so yeah, it's right now it's free. If you want the paid one, I'm messing around with the paid one for ChatGPT 4, and it's really good. And eventually they're gonna include plugins. I don't know if you guys got to see this. It is. Let me see if I can just bring it up real quick. Let me just show you real quick. It's freaking crazy. ChatGPT extensions. Yeah, that's what it's called. So they've got some extensions that they're putting into it. And I'm not talking about Chrome extensions. I'm talking about they're making their own like app store through GPT that's gonna. I mean, I saw a demonstration of it, and it's amazing, but at the same time, I'm like, man, okay, I'm waiting for somebody to do something crazy, like crazy evil with it, because they will. It's just a matter of time. They released their own. Okay, like here's a little example of it. Is this it? ChatGPT themselves are integrating these things. Like they already have You can already do like Zapier, and Zapier is like where you can. Let me see. Like you could, for example, I could make this video with Zapier. This video automatically post on LinkedIn or something like that. As soon as it's done, it's complete. Zapier will take it and then post it somewhere. So they're going to integrate that kind of capability into ChatGPT. Except I can't even. Oh man, what was one example they had? So they have one example where they link it with Wolfram Alpha, which is it's like a math app. You can do any kind of calculus, any kind of calculations. You can like right now say with Wolfram Alpha, what's the distance between the highest peak on Earth, Mount Everest or whatever it is, to the moon right now, and it'll do a calculation. This already exists. What I'm telling you already exists. It's called Wolfram Alpha. I've used it before. It's freaking crazy. It's awesome. So they've integrated Wolfram Alpha into ChatGPT, and then they've also have Instacart integrated with ChatGPT. So you can like go to ChatGPT and say, I want a bacon, egg, and omelet sandwich. What do I need? And then it'll tell you the ingredients of everything you need, right? And how to cook it. And then it'll add all the ingredients to Instacart. And then and then it'll use Wolfram Alpha to calculate all the calories of all the ingredients. So it'll tell you how many calories that food you're gonna make is. And then if you click go, it'll buy it on Instacart and deliver it to your house. That's what they're doing right now. It's in beta, and I don't know that they've invited anybody just yet, but they did like a demo and showed it. And then there's another demonstration where these freaking crazy bastards took some dude, he drew what he wanted this is what he did. He goes like this. He just draws this little app. He says, oh, okay, I want my app to look like this, and there'll be a button and something up here. And he goes like this. This is what it's going to look like. It's going to look like this. This is what my app. And then he took a picture of it, and then he sent the picture to ChatGPT, this beta one that they haven't released yet. And then ChatGPT, and he told ChatGPT, make me an application out of this drawing I did. It made an application out of the drawing. Yep. It's here. Okay, let me see. And are there security issues? Yes, there are, which we'll get to in another time. I'm leaning towards vulnerability management, but I don't know what I'm talking about. Taking a class. Okay, you're leaning towards vulnerability management, but you're okay. Well, congratulate. That's great. That's awesome. Keep going. Let me see. I'm going through a boot camp. How easy would it be for me to get employment afterwards? After the boot camp, are you gonna have a certification? Do you have any skills already? Do you have any kind of background in, like, I would say like this before I let you go. If you go into a boot camp, you come out of it and you get let's say a Security Plus certification, right? You go take the test, you pass it, they give you your little voucher or whatever. You pass it, you got your Security Plus, and let's say you have no experience. Experience is king. So if you don't have experience, you're gonna have to do some wordsmithing on your resume. If you want an example of how you should wordsmith it, how you should put the words together, what kind of keywords they're looking for, I have a free downloadable resume. You can just look at my resume to figure out like how they word it, what kind of keywords you should put in there. It'll just give you an idea. You're not going to copy it word for word. You're just going to look at it, get an idea. Just go to my link in description, link in bio, wherever, and you'll be able to go convocourses.com, look for the free ATS style cybersecurity resume, and then that'll give you an idea. If you have no experience, you can still put something together. And I also have if you're willing to spend a few bucks, I've got an entry level templates. I've got entry level template resumes that you can download, and it'll give you ideas of how to what kind of words to put on there if you have no experience at all, and if you have a little bit of experience, and how to integrate some old experience you have from other places you worked, and it'll give you an idea of how to word it. And then you take that resume and you upload it everywhere. You upload it on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on wherever, Career Builder, all those places. Now, if you already have some experience and you're taking this boot camp and you're about to, get out to the job market and stuff, and you're going to have a Security Plus, then it's going to be a lot easier for you to get employment. A certification alone is not going to get you employment. It's still going to be difficult because the hierarchy, and I'm not trying to bring you down or anything. I'm telling you the reality of what's happening. That doesn't mean you're not going to get a job. So, don't get it twisted. Don't get depressed or down or something. When I'm just telling you, like, a certification alone is not going to get you sailing into a job, but it is a good thing to put on your resume, to put out there, if that makes any sense. It's showing a great level of effort on your part so that somebody will be more willing to give you a shot. So that's, it depends on like what level of experience you have and all that kind of stuff. I hope that answers your question. Let me see. Somebody asked, what would you recommend for a CGRC certification exam? What would I recommend? What do you mean? What training I would recommend? Ola, if you're still on, I need more context on what you're asking me here on YouTube, or on Indeed. What is that on Indeed? What? That's on LinkedIn. Oh, dope. That's my first LinkedIn question. Oh man, awesome. Yeah, if you're still watching me, I need more context. I can try to answer it. What would you recommend for CGRC certification exam? So I have the CGRC, formerly known as ISC2. CAP certification, and it's focusing. I could tell you a couple things about it. Number one, if you're trying to get in past the certification, okay, so here's the things that you need to study: the NIST 837, the NIST, the FIPS 199, FIPS 200. Those are like 8-page documents, but you need to read them and understand them. And then I would also recommend the NIST 830 and the NIST 839. Those documents from the government, from the NIST organization, you want to read those start to finish. A couple other ones that'll help you out is NIST 860, 860 volume 1 and 2. Just like, you just need to know what they are and then kind of skim through them because it's a really long document. And the other one is NIST 853. You don't have to like know everything because there's like 1,000 controls or something, but you need to know what it is. And then another thing is that I do have a course on that if you're interested. I have also a book, and if you sign up for my newsletter, I give it out for free sometimes. So just go to convocourses.com. That's all I'm saying. Let me see. Alexis, how you doing? Okay, let me see. Another question from Mr. David. David Gertens. Long time no see, man. Afternoon, Bruce. Would you be able to explain how web application STIGs would help demonstrate how someone has driven security within large-scale applications, prepping for an interview? I don't even know if I understand this question. Let me see. Might not be smart enough to answer this, my man. How would web application STIG explain how web application STIG would be helpful to demonstrate how someone has driven security within a large scale? Oh, so what you're saying is you've used the STIG to harden a web application, and you're trying to demonstrate how the experience you have, if I understand you right, could be helpful on a large scale application. If that's your question, I would say the way I would word it, what's coming to mind is that the STIGs goes a little. The STIGs actually go a lot further than just your best security practices on any given application, whether they be major or minor, and operating systems. So I would break down, like, if they wanted to know more information about it, like, what I would do is I give them examples of how the specific things that I did to harden the application. And I think that some of the stuff that's in the STIGs are very, very impressive. And if you're going into an industry that doesn't know about the STIGs, they're about to have their mind blown, because if you start going through some of the specific features that the STIG has that locks down an application, for example, you'll be able to apply that same thing to their large level application. So what I would do is I would just refresh my memory about what like is in the STIG, and like what I actually what I hardened on the web application stuff, and then start talking about that experience and how you can bring that experience to that organization, and you're going to be a huge asset to them, because you'll be able to bring that, because the DoD hardens stuff on a whole different level, man. Like, it's not the same. I was in the private sector for some time, and it's not even remotely the same. Like, the private sector, they do what they got to do for optimization and money. A DoD is fighting for their life. Like, they're getting attacked by other countries. So like, it's on a different level. So what I would do is I would talk about like specific things I harden on that application, and then talk about how I could bring that to their their world. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure if I'm smart enough to answer that one, to be honest with you. Okay, let me see. There was another question. There's a lot of questions on TikTok. I'm not ignoring you guys, man. I've just got I'm on 4 different platforms here. So let me see. Somebody said, what certifications do you have? Certifications that I have, not that it's important, experience outweighs any certifications I have, to be honest with you. And I'm not a paper tiger, but I have the CISSP. I've got the ISC2 CAP, formerly known as CAP. Now it's CAP. So now it's called the CGRC. which is CGRC certification. And then I've gotten it, which I use a lot. I had the CCNA. Somebody asked me, what's my thoughts on CCNA? I'll talk about that in a second. I had the CCNA. I let it expire many years ago. I used to be a network engineer. I have a Linux Plus, an A Plus certification, and a Security Plus, and I use those because I used to teach it. I used to teach those things. And then I got some other vendor levels. It's not even important. You know what I mean? Like, to be honest with you, like we sit on here and we say, oh, what certification? What certifications in the real world? It's going to get you more money. But at the end of the day, what the organization is really looking for is experience in whatever field that they need you in. Like if they have Jira in their organization, or they use Agile, or if they use Tenable or whatever, Qualys or whatever it is, they want you to have experience in that thing. And if you don't have experience in Qualys, they want you to have experience in Tenable, because you could say, okay, well, I can use the same experience I had in Tenable on Qualys or whatever, because I'm familiar with network scanners. That's the kind of experience is really where it's at. If you have a certification in Qualys, then that's great. But they want to know that you can do the job, right? The certification just says this guy knows how to do the job. So I got a lot of certifications. Let me see. Is it hard to get into IT? No, I wouldn't say it was hard to get in IT. It's hard to do. It's hard to get. I would say it's hard to. There's certain levels of IT. There's levels to this. You know what I mean? Like, it's not hard to get in. It's harder than some jobs. Like if you're trying to be a waiter, right? It's harder than that. If you're trying to do retail or something, or it's harder than just doing basic retail at a point of sale device. I'm sure there's hard things about that, but it's harder to get into IT than it would be to get into retail, or to get into a restaurant as a waiter or something. Not to say that I'm sure that there's some waiter jobs, maitre d jobs that you got to remember the whole list and like side. I can do that. When I'm sitting there taking their order and there's 15 people in there, I got to figure out like what. And I have waiters that can remember every order that every person had in the order that they asked, and then go back and then like. I can't do that. So it doesn't mean that you're smarter. It's just IT has a high bar, because you have to come in knowing certain things. You have to come in knowing basic IT. So I would say it was harder in general than like, coming into certain jobs, but I wouldn't say it was super hard or anything. But there are levels that are hard. Like when you start specializing in certain things, network engineering, I say, gets hard. Software engineering, I would say everybody can't do that. I would say there's certain things in areas that everybody can't do cybersecurity either, not because smarts, because everybody doesn't have the emotional intelligence to do it. Not everybody can handle difficult people and difficult customers, which you got to do in cybersecurity. So that's not something people talk about, but that's the reality. Let me see. Let me answer another question on. I want you guys to know this is a conversation. This isn't just me. Like any kind of questions you guys have, whatsoever, just pop them in. This is a conversation. Anything at all that's related to IT, preferably. I want to talk about any, political stuff or any personal stuff or anything like that we kind of go off on a tangent on sometimes. Let me see. I'm on YouTube right now and LinkedIn. Let me see. Somebody asked, what position y'all talking about? I just experienced getting an ISO job. What position y'all talking about? There's been a couple things we kind of mentioned. People have been talking about the network engineering space. Somebody asked about being an application security person. So there's a lot of stuff we've been talking about here. Somebody said, hello, Bruce. I'm currently having trouble getting interviews. I obtained a Security Plus in 2021 and was able to snag a few interviews and one potential offer since then. I did not receive the clearance. Keep going. Like job that I got, this current one that I have, I had to go through 5 interviews. I had to have 5 interviews. I've got 20 years of experience. And the reason why is because I'm very picky, right? I'm just really picky, right? So I'm not trying to get every job. I'm trying to get specific jobs that pay a certain amount, that will allow me to work from home, that is within my lane. I wasn't trying to do entry level cloud stuff. I wasn't trying to, like, I could have gone any different ways. Just keep trying is what I'm telling you. Like, keep on applying. The way I do it is I'm just super aggressive about it. Anybody who used my method ends up getting this a very similar results than me. If if you have no experience, then that's a different thing. But if you have some experience, you have a security plus, I can really help you. I can really help you. I can tell you right now, if you want to go deeper, go to convocourses.com. I've got free downloadable resume. Copy that. I got free downloadable stuff that you could just watch and roll out. I got stuff that if you want to go a little bit deeper, it's a couple dollars. Like it's going to help you. You're talking about making 6 figures, right? What's a couple dollars to a person making 6 figures? You know what I mean? But I'm gonna just break it down to you. Number one, you got to get your resume right. Number one, resume depends on what field you're going in. If you're trying to get into forensics, digital forensics is going to be different from us here, your investigators and stuff. That's going to be a little bit different from your cybersecurity analyst, is going to be different from your information system security officer, right? So you got to find the keywords in whichever field you're trying to go in. Now, if you're a generalist, you don't really have a lot of experience, you haven't really specialized yet, you still have keywords you can use for the help desk. There's still keywords you can use for a cybersecurity specialist. One of the ways that you can find those keywords, besides downloading my own personal resume or buying some of the resume templates that I have that are chock full of not only the wording but the keywords as well, go to convocourses.com for that. But you can also go to LinkedIn and just type in whatever field you're trying to go in. Look at the job descriptions. The job descriptions a lot of times have the keywords you're looking for. So it depends on what field. Number one, get those keywords on your resume so you can get more people come. You can cast a wider net on a specific school of fish, so to speak. And then what you want to do is post your whole resume, ATS style preferably, upload it into LinkedIn, Indeed.com, CareerJet, Simply Hired, anywhere you can upload it. Upload in all these different places. You could monster.com is another one if I didn't say that already. Upload it all there and then fill out the entire profile, the whole profile till it says 100% complete, even the picture, everything. And then once that's done, you'll start to get people contacting you. Not all of them are opportunities that are for you. Some of them are like, well, I don't, I'm not really I'm not a security engineer. I mean, I'm not a application designer, but they're contacting me about that job. A lot of times what I do, I get so many of these other jobs that I'm either not qualified for or I don't want. I'll send them on my newsletter and be like, hey guys, here's some jobs, But once you put your stuff out there, you put it on all of these different sites, what'll happen is people will contact you. Not all opportunities are something that you might want. But then what you do is you get really aggressive. You're going to actually do searches for the field that you want and apply for every one. Just go and apply for everyone. I have a complete breakdown of this, a step-by-step walkthrough that I have in a book form, an audio book, and I have a course about it if you want to actually spend a little bit. But this is how you do it. I just explained exactly how I've been able to get all these opportunities. It's really too many for me. I don't even, I can't use them all. I have a job. So let me answer some questions on TikTok. Somebody asked or said, I have a CCNA, a CCAN security, an MCSA, and a CompTIA, and I still have no job. Okay. These always blow my mind. Do you have, if you're still on, do you have experience? Brown Rick, do you have experience? Do you have any experience whatsoever in information technology? If you have all these certifications and you have no job, you don't. Okay. If you have no experience, then it's going to be more difficult. Number one, okay, it's not just certifications that get you these jobs. Somebody said, Brown Rick, we're in a recession, downsizing happening in tech, only people with senior level positions thereafter. I would agree and disagree with that statement, as no disrespect whatsoever. I would agree. There's people still looking for jobs. I know, because I'm still getting, people are still sending me jobs. And I'm not talking about senior level. I'm talking about people are sending me jobs for entry level jobs. Not as many. I'll agree with you on that one. Not as many jobs. I agree with that, because normally I'm getting so many I can't even. I mean, it's ridiculous. But it has slowed down, I have to admit. But there's still jobs out there. Probably not in the FANG sector, right? Like, that's where they're really getting hit. Like the people who rely heavily on the stock market, those guys are getting annihilated right now. FANG means Facebook, Amazon, Apple, I don't know, Netflix, Google. Those guys are getting annihilated because they're a lot of their portfolio and money. The reason why they're able to give all these stock options, and people are like, I make 500,000 a year, is because it's stock options. It's all the benefits that they have, it's all that stuff, but they don't have that right now because we're getting annihilated by this recession of what's going on with the recession and everything. So yeah, I do agree with that. But that's being said, there's still people looking for jobs. And I know this because I'm triple tasks with work. I'm triple tasked with work. We won't have enough people at my job currently. There's not enough people doing this work. But before the recession, it was the same thing. They want to double task you on stuff. They want to send you to 10 different sites. We don't have enough people to do this work. We just don't. And the sectors that are really hurting right now is mainly the infrastructure. The government needs people still, even in a recession. What other sectors? Critical infrastructure still needs people. Hospitals still need people. They're probably hurting a little bit right now. The financial sector, the infrastructure type people in these sectors really need people. If you're working in FANG, if you're working in Google, Twitter, yeah, those guys there's not a lot of jobs for that, but there are jobs out there. But to answer your question, what you want to do is, what I would do if I were you is I would have to see your resume, man. If I saw your resume, I'm sure I could help you out. I'm absolutely certain I could help you. I'm absolutely sure. I'm absolutely sure I could help you out. Because there's a way you could word it, even if you have no experience, where you're showcasing your skills. Because you can also put projects. If you have that many certifications, I'm sure you've done projects before. I'm sure you've done. You could put some of that stuff on your resume. Do you have that? Do you have a resume, Brown Rick? We're still talking to Brown Rick. Do you have a resume? Do you have a resume? It sounds like a silly question, but you have 3 certifications and you have no experience. So there's no silly questions here. Do you have a resume? I'm assuming you have a resume. You do. Okay. Is that resume on LinkedIn? I'm talking to you, Brown Rick. Is it on LinkedIn? It is. Okay. You need to message me. So here's my hit me up on I want to see I'm not going to post your stuff live or anything. I'm just going to show you where you can contact me on LinkedIn. Just hit me up on LinkedIn. I can maybe give you a couple tips. So let me see if I can go to my page right here. If you search for Bruce Brown, CISSP, RMF, you'll find me. This is what my profile looks like. And once you go, okay, now I'm about to have some crazy freaking feedback because I'm live on LinkedIn right now. But here it is right here. That's my page. And just message me. Send me a message. We'll see what we can do. I can't do too many of these, so if you guys start flooding me with all resumes and stuff, I can't help everybody. Like I just only a few people at a time that I can do. I just don't have the cycles, right? Like even now, I'm working my butt off. So I can't do this for everybody. But if I ask you, send me your resume, send me your damn resume immediately, because that means I have a little bit of time and I'm about to look at your resume. But I'm telling you, message me, Brown Rick. I'll take a look, man. No promises, but let me just take a look. Maybe I can give you some guidance. But for everybody else, if you're very serious about this, if you're trying to make a move, like a serious move, go to convocourses.com. I've got a resume service. I can't service everybody right now. So if this is really serious, if this is a 4-alarm fire for you, send me your resume. I'll take a look at it. If I can't, I'll just give you your money back, and I'll just say listen, I don't have time to do it. Here's your money back. Let me see. Another one is feeling kind of stuck. Been revisiting my 601 objects. 800-37 53. My background is in physical security. Again, I'm telling you, I can help. I can help. You gotta send me your resume. If you if I'm not mistaken, I think this is the person I talked to on Instagram. So listen, just go to my site, convocourses.com. I can help you out. I've got actually free downloadable resumes that you can look at the resume, pull some stuff, steal information from that to give you an idea of how to word it. If you have no experience, it's going to be more difficult. You're going to have to be more aggressive. You cannot give up. If you're getting interviews already, that's a great sign. That's a great sign. You're in the right direction. But this field, especially if you're trying to get what you want, it can be it's going to be a little bit more difficult. Let me see. Another question. Interviews with a recruiter. Number 1, interview with a recruiter. Number 2, interview with account manager. Number 3, interview with the customer. That's usually how it goes for me. Do you have any knowledge about information system security engineering? A little bit. So at the current place I'm working, I'm an information system security officer. And so what I do is mostly continuous monitoring. And what we're doing is making sure the security posture of the organization has a certain level. It stays at a certain level. That means we got to maintain the documentation, including the system security plan. We've got to, if there's vulnerabilities, we're working with the teams that fix the systems to see if we can get the vulnerabilities down. We're managing the vulnerabilities across the network. So that's an ISO. An engineer, they're typically on a more of a architecture type role where they're doing like support, like the actual technical support. So I'll call on the ISIs for let's say we're having a problem with trying to find something completely unrelated. That's not anything that I'm doing right now. Let's say we're having a firewall issue, and I'm already talking to the firewall guy, and I'm telling him, hey, we got to get rid of these any out of the firewall. And they're saying we can't do it because of this and that. And I'm telling them, listen, this is what I'm not talking to them like that, but I'm saying, well, according to the regulations, we can't have any. Here's why. And we're being flagged. And the next time we have an assessment, it's going to come up. And he's like, well, look, it's all secure, and you don't have to worry about the any's because we have this or that. And there's a gap between us. I'm telling them the policy. They're telling me there's the technical issues. I might call in a more technical person. That's an ISI. So that guy comes in, and this dude maybe has a background in firewalls, and he's gonna be like, okay, let me bring up your rules. Let me see the firewall rules. Right? He comes in, and we're all in the same meeting, and he's looking at the firewall rules, and he's saying, okay, there's an any here. What are you guys doing with this any? Is there any kind of mitigating things that we're doing to? And he says, yes, we're using this other system. It has a proxy, blah, blah, blah. And so let me bring up the proxy. So he'll bring up the proxy. They're more technical. So ISOs, we're doing a lot of meetings, some documentation. It might get a little technical. We've got to know some stuff technically, but we're not hands-on. The ISI, they gotta kind of know a little bit of my job, which is the policy, and a little bit of the technical side. So they're kind of 50-50, and they have a little bit more technical experience. So that is what an ISI is. They're more like in the weeds type technical person. I hope that answers your question. All right, let me see other questions here. I'm going to answer another question. I'm not going to do this too much longer, guys. I appreciate all the questions, though. Do you use Dockers? What? I'm not sure what that is, sir. If you could educate me on that. What is that? Where can I find those entry level jobs? You can find them on LinkedIn, on Monster, on Dice, on Indeed. Those are the top job sites, Career Builder. There's probably 20 other ones. If I was really looking for an entry level job, I would go on every single one of those sites aggressively. I would aggressively go on every one of those sites and look for them until I found one. That's what I would do. They exist. And then they even have a filter that says no experience. If you're looking for a no experience job, not all entry level jobs want somebody with no experience. So entry level, there's a misconception. Entry level does not mean no experience. It includes, there's some entry level jobs that have no experience, but they're not many. So what I would do is I would go on these sites and I would search out jobs that say no experience. And there's a filter. You go on, Indeed has one, I believe. And let me see if I've done this a couple times on here. So let me just go to Indeed.com and see if I could find an entry level cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a lot harder to find entry level jobs because it's a multidisciplinary area, so it's harder to find entry level cybersecurity jobs. I would go for an information technology job. It would be much easier for you to find that, but I'll do both. So let me show you guys what I'm looking at here. Let me show you what I'm looking at. So right now here I am on Indeed. Let me switch it over here on. I don't know if you guys can see this. Unfortunately, I don't have like a real good. This does not look good on TikTok, so I apologize. But if you want to follow along, I went to Indeed.com and I typed in cybersecurity. Right, first thing, type cybersecurity. Then what you can do is you could search by degree. I don't know if you can see this, but if you search by education, if you want to find something with no degree, you hit high school. But let's not do that. Let's look at employment type. You could do full time, contract, part time, and other things. Let's see, developer skills, but we're looking for experience level, and here it is right here. If you guys can see this, experience level. If you click this, it's going to only filter these 50 systems, these 50 jobs. Here it is, right? 50 jobs that have no experience. No experience. These are cybersecurity positions with no experience. Now, some of these are false positives. They're not real, but you gotta, because they're saying $100,000. They're saying senior management. You got to look into them, right? So, if you really want these jobs, here's what you do: you don't type cybersecurity. You type in IT, help desk, or something like that. IT. Now, let's filter by what was it? Filter by employer. Nope, that's not it. Experience level. Once again, there we're going to go to experience level, and we're going to go to no experience. And then there's a lot more opportunities, and less of these are false positives. Now, there are some in there. There's some in there, but there's more jobs. Now, if you want to get really in the weeds, what you want to do is type the location wherever you're located. And then another thing you can do is make sure that the job posted is within the last 14 days. That's how you do it. Now, most sites have this feature. LinkedIn has it. Monster has it. Most of the major job seeking sites, job aggregators have those features. I think even including Google. If you type in any job in Google, it has this really cool feature where it comes up with it's pulling all jobs from all the job aggregators. So that's another good one. Hope that helps. All right, let me see. Somebody said, Professor Black Ops said, facts, DOD has a ton of ex-militaries too. I got yelled at a lot. I get yelled at a lot. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, it happens, man. It could be you gotta really have thick skin. You can't with cybersecurity, I say, let me go back to this. So with cybersecurity, you got to kind of have some thick skin. That's why there's a lot of ex-military, because ex-military people tend not to say that, there's not great people or not military, ex-military, but military, you see a lot worse stuff in the military. So when you get in the civilian world and people are saying, they're like belligerent or whatever, in the military, you might get in a fist fight over some stuff. Like the Marines might fight you. Like you might get in an actual fight in the Marines. Like it won't come down to words. It'll be like you fighting somebody. In the Air Force, you got people wanting to, like, you got all kind of empire builders, and people think they're smarter than you, and people playing mind games and stuff. Like, it gets really crazy. And that's not in every unit, but I'm just telling you, in general, it gets real in the military. So when you get out and you're dealing with civilian stuff, not to say you don't experience some of the same antics, but you tend to have a little bit thicker skin because you've seen more stuff. And so, and then there's other ex-military people in there who are acting the damn ass, So just my 2 cents about it. You got to have some thick skin in cybersecurity and be a little bit more emotionally intelligent, I would say. Let me see. I'm gonna answer some more questions real quick. Is it true that if I understand NIST RMF, I understand any of the other frameworks like PCI, DSS? Okay, so I'm just gonna put you on some super game. So I'm very, very familiar with NIST 853. NIST 800 in general. I've been dealing it for a really long time. I just know it off the top of my head. Any situation you can give me, most of the time, I'll if I can't know the answer off the top of my head, I know where to find it. That being said, I've been to a couple organizations where they wanted me to do ISO 27001, and they had already hired me, and they're like, okay, well, we need you to also do ISO 27001. I'm like, okay, let me take a look at it, and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, I know what this is. It's the same stuff with different names. So yes, and then the same thing happened with DSS, PCI. I come in, I'd never touched PCI DSS. I came in, they're like, hey, we need you to audit these PCI DSS controls. I'm like, all right, let me take a look at it. We had this client, and they had like all these PCI systems that we had to do an audit on. So I look at it, I'm like, this is exactly like NIST 800. HIPAA too. So HIPAA is the same. HIPAA is like real thin. Like, it doesn't even have a lot of stuff. So yes, the answer is yes. If you know one, especially, I can't say the same the other way around, because NIST 800 and risk management framework, and the other one's ISO 27001, the international variant of this. Those two are so robust that they include so many different controls and so many different situations that normally PCI can fit in it, HIPAA can fit in it, all these other small COBIT, whatever, all those things can fit. So whenever I see them SOC 2 or whatever it is, I'm looking at them like, this is the same stuff over and over again. And then the another one's FedRAMP. It's the same stuff. Like, it's all the same. So there's some variations in there, because with PCI DSS, you're dealing with specifically with like card readers. You're dealing with credit card information. So you're still protecting people's personally identifiable information, and financial information. So you got to do things like that's a little bit different, but it's the same, but it's like it's a slightly different. Like, you have to have it in a separate network. It's got to be on its own. Like, obviously, right? You wouldn't want to have it on the same network that you have the Wi-Fi on that the guests use or something. Like, you have to separate it from its own thing. Like, it's got to be, if you have a system that you're using a computer to process credit cards, you don't want that system that's shared out to a bunch of people. You want it to be kind of isolated. I mean, it could be still connected to the internet, but it's got to be isolated from other things, other functionalities that you do. Like, there's certain things that you got to do with PCI DSS that you you wouldn't normally talk about specifically in risk management framework. But all the basic stuff is there, like use of encryption, like what levels of encryption that you have, making sure it's good. I'm having a firewall in a certain area, like when having a DMZ, making sure it's over here, like there's certain things that are gonna be like, okay, I know what that is. Okay, I'd say 90% of the stuff that you do with PCI DSS is the same stuff you would do in NIST 800 and ISO 27001 and so on and so forth. There's a couple of variants, just like in HIPAA too. HIPAA will have certain classifications of healthcare information, electronic healthcare information that you don't normally see in this. You're not going to see in this 800 typical federal systems, but once you see how it's protected, it's the same stuff. Okay, we're going to use this kind of encryption. You make sure it's isolated in this network over here. Make sure, like, you're like, okay, I get it. This is CS dash. This is CI dash 2, flaw remediation or whatever. That's vulnerability management. So it's all the same stuff. It's just a different name a lot of times. Let me see if I can answer. Man, I got so many questions here. Let me answer as fast as I can. Let me see. Should I major in CS if I want to do cybersecurity engineering? You don't have to. If you can do any kind of I have an information technology certification with a specialization in networking, and I've been working in cybersecurity for 20 years. You don't have to do a cybersecurity engineering degree. What I will say is this: if you do the cybersecurity engineering degree, then it can open up certain doors, like an apprenticeship or something. Like there might be certain apprenticeships at companies or organizations that want to get a cybersecurity engineer person, but that's about the only benefit, I would say, because you're going to learn. If I'm in IT, like I learned most of the cybersecurity engineering stuff. There might be some, I think cybersecurity will have some specializations in there that I didn't get, I wasn't privy to. So that's kind of cool. Like you might go deeper into encryption, or you might go deeper into firewalls or something. So do you have to get it? Do you have to major in it? No. Are there benefits to it? Yes. If you want to get a job in this field, you don't have to get it. So I will say this: make sure that you get experience while you're in school. That's the most important thing. Let me see. I'm interested in learning cybersecurity. Please, what is the first step for a beginner? First step for a beginner is to learn basic information technology, because all of cybersecurity is based on best security practices of those information technology devices, hardware, software. You need to know how those work. So the most fundamental thing you can do is learn the actual technology, the actual information technology. How does a computer work? How does a CPU work with the RAM, work with storage? What's the difference between storage and memory? What are some of the things that can be exploited on storage and memory and CPU? You got to know what those things are first. So I would say start there. If you want a good place to start, where I started was something called a CompTIA A+. I was in the military at the time. I went to a boot camp, and they rushed us through this A+ certification. But at the end of it, I had a very solid understanding of information technology, and I knew now, granted, I was a geek. I was messing around with my own stuff. I was tearing computers apart. I was tinkering with things, trying to write code, messing around with things. So if you have that kind of talent, or if you have that kind of interest, if you're passionate about it and you're willing to learn, then after you take the A+, it'll put everything in perspective to where now you're ready to specialize in something. And you don't have to specialize in cybersecurity. You can go into networking. You can go into cloud. You can go, but cybersecurity is great. The next thing you would want to do after the A+ certification, if you decide to take it, you could take it or not. Really, you just want to get the information. If you're trying to get a job, I would recommend taking it. But after you get that, do the Security Plus, CompTIA Security Plus, because that one's really good. I'm about to end this thing. I'm going to answer a couple more questions. I apologize for all the people that I haven't gotten to, but I'll just tell you guys this. This doesn't end here. If you go to convocourses.net, convocourses.com, you sign up for anything, even the free stuff, you get access to my newsletter. I'm always sending out free stuff, free books. I've got a couple free books coming out real soon. I'll do things like send out a bunch of jobs. You know, people are constantly sending me jobs, so I just put in a newsletter and send it out. I got things like audiobooks. I'll just give out audiobook links that Amazon gives me. I got a bunch of freebies, a bunch of free opportunities, a bunch of conversations that are happening. This is not the only place that we talk. We talk on Discord sometimes. We talk on email. We talk on the newsletter back and forth. So there's a lot of different areas that we're still talking, that this conversation goes throughout the week. It's not just one time a week. So if you're interested in this kind of stuff, just hit me up. And I'm also on LinkedIn. So if you're on LinkedIn, you can talk to me there. And it's not just me. Sometimes it'll be a community of people who know way more than me, have way more knowledge than me. And I'm thinking about bringing in other people to interview them, because I know some people who will blow your minds, and they're in specializations in different things. If you guys are interested in that, let me know. But that is it for this one. I appreciate everybody who asked questions. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate even some of my experts in subject matter experts in there answering questions from people. And I've got some emails from people. I need a break. So give me time to actually answer some of the emails and stuff, and I will get to you. Thank you guys so much for everything. And I will talk to you guys hopefully tomorrow. That'd be great. Let's try to talk tomorrow.